Hey folks. So today's post is about making space, creating space. And this is coming out of some experiences of the last week or two, and it's related to a lot of the things I've talked about in my previous posts, especially the ones about how for a while I felt like I was kind of reciting past ideas and past answers as opposed to really leaning into the moment and whatever dilemma or whatever experience I may happen to be in that's active and relevant. And so out of that context, there have been a number of really cool changes in my life and shifts that have happened just in the last couple of days. So one story that I wanted to tell you is I had signed up about a week ago maybe. I saw a songwriting masterclass advertised. It was these guys out of Nashville, multi-platinum hit songwriters, and they're running a masterclass on on songwriting, how to write, pop songs. And I saw the email and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. But then I immediately had a feeling like, ooh, I don't know if that's actually how I want to spend my time. I don't know if that's right. It feels good, but I'm not sure. But I sent them a couple demos and some lyrics anyway, and you had to apply to get in. And they responded in a couple days and said, oh, we'd love to have you. And I was still kind of wrestling with it. I was like, well, I don't know. I think maybe I'm not going to do it because I want to keep my time free for blah, blah, blah. And so I sent them a response, no. And then they responded again and said, oh, well, if you can't make that class, we have these other classes. We'd love to have you. They were clearly trying to get me, which that felt good. But so I'm wrestling with this, right? I'm sitting with this decision, like, am I going to do this? It makes so much sense. Like, I'm sure these guys are really good, and maybe I would make some good connections. And I've done a lot of songwriting, but I've never really studied, like pop and hit songwriting techniques. So I think it would be really informative for me. And I was standing in the shower one night, and this thought flashed for me, and it's something that comes out of my work with a buddy of mine named Kyle, who talks about this stuff all the time. He basically says, once you start coming up with the reasons for why you should do something, you can already know that your heart isn't saying yes to it. Because if it were, then you wouldn't need the reasons. Doesn't mean you wouldn't have reasons, but the reasons wouldn't be the reason that you're making the decision. So right then and there, I was like, all right, not going to do it. I feel like my time is meant for something else. I feel like something else is meant to come through me, and I'm just going to say no to this and create space. Well, I get out of the shower, and I go in to put Annalise to sleep. I'm holding Annalise, and Katie comes in, and she's got her iPad, and she's like, Robin, I'm on a call with Kyle. He's on a call with 300 people. He wants you to play piano. And I was like, whoa. So I handed Annalise to Katie, and I take the iPad, and I walk to the piano, and I just play. I just jam for a couple minutes, and then we talk about music, and then he has me play a couple other things, and it's, we got a chance to sort of engage and actually sort of talk about music in the context of working with source and working with the moment and all this stuff. It was a beautiful call, a really good time. By the time that call was over, I had 4 people emailing me wanting piano lessons. And the next morning, I get on my lesson with Kyle. I have a lesson with him every day. And he says to me, Robin, I think I want you to do some kind of musical event. I want you to do some kind of show on the platform, something that's like, you can just play music, or we can, whatever it is. And I was like, whoa, this is like literally what I've been dreaming about, right? This is the thing that I've wanted to create since I started, like basically for a couple of months now. I've had this as an idea in my head. And then we keep talking, and I'm talking about, my songwriting process and some of the work I've done and the kind of work that I find most inspiring. And he says, Robin, I think maybe you should teach a songwriting class on the platform. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is within 12 hours of me saying, no, I'm not going to take this songwriting class. I'm now being offered an opportunity to teach one. So, and it was just such a clear example of making space, deciding clearly, like, no, this is not, even though looks good on paper, it's not what my heart is saying. My heart is saying something else. I don't even know what it is, but it's just saying something else, and moving that aside. And then the space opened up, and boom, all this stuff came in. There was space for it to all come in, and for a whole new kind of reality to emerge. I mean, I've also been getting emails over the last couple of days. I've continued to pick up students. I've these ideas about what we might do on the platform are kind of starting to really flow for me. So it was just such a vivid reminder and affirmation of how important it is to really listen to the moment, really listen to what's going on in the heart, like in the thing that wants to come through, and that's always there ready to come out, but you really have to let that voice speak, because the mind is always trying to fill up your time, solve a bunch of problems, create a bunch of problems so that it can solve them. And yeah, I've definitely filled my life at various points with a lot of clutter and been unable to think clearly and see clearly, like, oh no, this is where I'm really at. This is where I'm really landing. And I'm sharing this with you because it's just a recent affirmation of the kind of like approach that I'm taking to this process, and the sense that I have that possibility is really so limitless when we will actually go to that space, and when we're actually willing to say no to big things that there might be no good justifiable reason other than it doesn't feel right. Something else feels right. And just trusting that and leaning into that and letting that calling have legitimacy, and letting that soft voice be heard, even when there's a bunch of other voices trying to be heard and maybe justifying themselves. So that's where I'm at today, folks. Thanks so much for listening. I love being able to share these ideas, and it really means a lot that you folks are there to receive them and watching this. So love you all very much. Talk to you tomorrow.